higher. Saka! That is a diamond of a goal! Wanyeri tries one!
Well, today is a great day to be an Arsenal fan because we have a monumental transfer update to talk to you about, and that is Benjamin Šeško followed Arsenal on Instagram. And that's it. That's all that happened today. Nothing else. No, honestly, I'm so excited today to talk about all this stuff because Šeško did follow us on Instagram. That's not a joke, but Sammy Mockbell said on Latte Firm earlier today that he's the preferred plan. Thomas Partey is leaving. I consider that a plus. And then who else? Christian Norgaard was signed in like 6 hours today. I didn't think we could move that fast. And what else? And Miles Lewis-Skelly has signed his contract extension. Here we go, confirmed, according to Fabrizio Romano. So we're going to get into all that, and then we're going to do a keep, sell, loan game, considering our current players. And yeah, I'm looking forward to getting into all that. As always, I'm Sham. You can follow me on Twitter at Shamsdale and on Bluesky at Shamsdale@BSkySocial. And joining me today, I'm really pleased to announce, is Trip, who you can follow on Twitter at Fulltime Trip with 2 P's. Trip, how you doing, my friend?
Hey, listen, we're doing the most Arsenal thing possible. Listen, in an effort to avoid the transfer window entirely and try and be on vacation, I'm going right into a podcast with Sham. We talk about the transfer window. We're going right into it, I guess. But now, listen, we're good, man. We've been good. Just trying to enjoy the summer as much as we can. Trying to maintain peace in this very Arsenal-like transfer window so far. But listen, we got some good stuff. We got some good stuff this time around. So I guess we could talk about it. But overall, can't complain too much.
Yeah. I was trying to avoid transfer window stuff like today when we set this up, and I was like, let's just do a nice keep, sell, loan. Just talk about the players we currently have. Don't have to worry about. And then transfer window gave us stuff to talk about, which is nice.
At the window. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
we busted the window down with it as per usual. When you least expect it, they're just gonna throw a full clip of information at you. You're just like, all right, bet we'll just roll it. All right.
Yeah. And that's how I feel like the summer is probably going to go, where it's just huge chunks of radio silence, and then in like 1 or 2 days, just like 16 things happen, and it's like, oh, okay, so you guys are actually doing stuff, and we
literally.
Yeah.
Preseason, and they're just going to be like, oh, yeah, that's right. We signed like 3 new players, guys. They're on the plane. Yeah, come on. Like, yeah. All right, I guess.
Yeah, it's honestly, I kind of like it because it keeps, it keeps like the suspense going. Because like, I think one thing that has really died in terms of our experience of transfer windows has been just like the surprise and the suspense of it all. Mm-hmm. Right. And now it's just constant, like, non-updates, just big nothing burgers from journalists who are trying to get clicks. And like, I don't really say that with malice. I know that's the game these days, but like, guys are just coming out every day being like, major breaking, there is no development on Šeško and Gyökeres. And then it's just people flipping out because
I know I agree. It's the name of the game. I get it. You know what I'm saying? You guys got to get your money's worth. Y'all like journalists. You got to stay on. That's the name of the game. You guys have to stay with it. But for the consumer, for the average fan, it hurts when you get in live like Love Island updates every single day talking about, hey, man, listen, this person might have gotten a new relationship. They had a side conversation. They were talking. They got a new connection. We're admiring them from a distance. We got to figure out who we're voting off the island and pursuing after this. Who's going into Casa and more. We got all these different things. And I'm just like, bro, I just want to know who got signed and when can I see them next to win the dog. Those are the only things that I need to know. The only 2 pieces of information that I need to roll with as an Arsenal fan. So it's just a lot of information flying. So you just got to try your best to find peace in the storm, because this is when everything is just flying off the walls.
Yeah. It's they call it silly season for a reason. And you and I were talking off air just about enjoying our vacations recently. And yeah, that's the kind of attitude that I'm trying to have about the rest of this window. But why don't we jump into today's developments before we do some keep, sell, loan? So we'll go chronologically. We'll start with the news all of us woke up to, which was Thomas Partey. I guess Thomas Partey. Yeah, we'll do Partey first. So the news appears to be that in conjunction with another thing that happened today, Thomas Partey looks set to leave the club, right? And there have been, kind of extended conversations about renewing his contract. And, he's one of the players who was omitted from the release list so that we could do that. And it looked set to happen for a while. And then kind of over the last few days, there's been noises about he's asking for too much money. Arsenal don't want to give it to him. Partey's considering his options, and Arsenal are also kind of looking into the market. So it looks like he's out. Yeah, I think Hand of Arsenal also kind of said as much.
Mhm.
So where are you with this in terms of Partey leaving the club and us kind of moving forward without him?
So, where one party ends, another party begins. And I need to go to the store and get like all my things together in terms of like my, confectionaries, my balloons and everything like that in the background and stuff. I got to get official for it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I will be I'm going to be calm about this. I have a time to be more excited later, but I will say this in terms of where we're going and in terms of assessing the enigma that is Partey. I think at some point, probably over the last 2 seasons specifically, it was the question of, is he more asset than liability, or is he more liability than asset? I think that's just been the huge thing of like, yeah, we know on his day he can be a fantastic player, can run the midfield by himself, can be such a dynamic player in the sixth position, can do fantastic things. But how often have we seen that? How often and consistent have we seen that? That's always been the big thing for me of, people love to underrate it, but availability might be the best ability in senses, especially when you have a talent level that high. And you show us the ceiling, you give us the stars, but then you're kind of grounded for the rest of the shit, like the trip. Like, okay, I thought we were up there. I thought we were over there with it. Why can't we get back there consistently? So it's always been that for me. And now, again, I don't know too much of the money side with things, but if we're hearing rumors of him wanting towards 200K and wants like the upward numbers of some like the top players in the club, I don't think that's justifiable given the unavailability that he's had. And I don't care if he's gotten his hamstrings back together for one season in the contract year to put it all together to like make it look like he's ready for action. I don't buy that, because you got to look at the whole tenure of his stay, and he's been more unavailable in important moments for us than available. And looking at the money, I don't think that justifies that. And if you look at, again, where people I feel like have been highlighting there, and I've been saying this for a long time, for a 6 for his position, the defensive liabilities and the defensive lapses that have again appeared in his stead and where he's been, I think that's been a glaring issue for us for a good little while in those little pockets. Again, you saw it a bit in the PSG tie in the second leg. You saw it during, I think it was our first game against Chelsea in the league last season when I think it was 2-2 or 1. I think it was 2-2 draw. Neto scored, but it was off of him out, not being in his proper position. I think primarily that was one of the main reasons. Several times on transition, we get cut. I've been seeing comps from 2 seasons ago about Rashford scoring that crazy goal against us at the Emirates, and then he was the first person to get chopped. I just think at this point, it's more liability than asset. And it's been that way for a little while. And we should have been looking to offload him for a good couple of seasons now for those reasons. So I've been happy that this saga is finally coming to a close in the way that I would have hoped, and we're looking towards a better horizon.
Yeah, I mean, like the defensive lapses, right, have kind of been a theme with him, right?
Super.
And before that, kind of, the other theme with him has been the lack of availability. And people really did not take kindly to this idea, but myself and like many others kind of said that this season felt like a contract year for Partey, right?
Oh my gosh. I've never seen his hamstring so intact more than this season in my life. I've never seen him do it 40, 50 meter sprints like his life depended on it. I'm like, oh, you got something to fight for. All right. I see you.
Yeah.
And you can check my tweets from the whole last season. I was like, yo, you will not trick me. You will not trick me, Thomas Partey. I see what you're doing. Well, go ahead.
Yeah. I found a tweet from like October where I was like, I am not giving this man a contract extension because he stayed fit for 2 months. And like
Literally.
So many people, I don't want to say got fooled by it. Like, I don't want to be condescending to people, but like, I just think we need to be better about really interrogating these things and really
I
just
agree.
kind of seeing a player who has missed countless key games for us over like the first few seasons of his contract
Mm,
suddenly be fit and available and like look in pretty good shape for most of the season. I think it tailed off for a lot turn towards the end, but like there's a reason for that. And
mm,
that's because, these players are very conscious of the fact that they're hitting like that final window of their career where they need that last big payout because they know there's probably nothing coming after that.
mm.
Unless you're a top tier player who can get like an MLS deal or
Yeah.
Saudi comes looking at you or something like that, right? Like Party knew that this was his last chance to make the big bucks, and he was already making a pretty substantial salary with us.
Yeah. For sure.
So there's that, and like I didn't let myself get fooled by that, and also just even over the course of the season, the defensive lapses where time and time again this guy was jogging back
Mm.
behind counterattacks, and I don't think that's a laziness thing. I think that his body can't do it thing,
Yeah.
you know, and like there was I've harped on these for a while now, so I'll just one more time.
Mhm.
There's him marking a patch of grass instead of stepping out to
Mhm.
block Pedro Neto's shot, and that went
Mhm.
in. We dropped points. And then there was him. I know he's playing right back, but he was marking Ollie Watkins for that set piece.
Oh
Got
my
burned.
gosh. That's core memory. Oh yeah, that just unlocked it.
Trip
Yeah.
trip. I
Yeah.
lost it, man, when I
Yeah.
saw that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because he
That's
tried to
one
he
of
tried
them.
to do that little like jump forward to catch him offside, but no one else was doing it. Um,
Just
So there's that. There's him getting a
mm,
yellow card when we were up 4-1 against Real Madrid for no reason.
God,
The guy just
so
decided to run over and start a fight with Antonio Rudiger. Like there's no reason for it. We missed
so
him against
for
PSG.
for a senior player, that is so brain dead again, and that had not a lot of knock on effect in the tie. I
Yeah,
personally think because how we had to reconfigure, but yeah, like it's just there's too that's too many instances. That's too many
yeah,
instances for one of the most important positions in your team to be having lapses. That just can't stand anymore. Again, it's the same liability or asset. If we're talking about those moments more than how many times he actually bossed the midfield in big situations and in big games over the last season, and you can extrapolate that over to the past 5 seasons he's been here. If we're
yeah,
talking about him being missing and him being absent-minded at best and then literally out of the squad and missing entirely at worst, that should tell you all you need to know in terms of that. And it's just it is what it is, and I think we should have been gone from the situation a long time ago.
yeah,
In my personal opinion, but I'm just glad that we're bringing this to a close now at this important juncture where we have opportunities to bring in people. We have a great midfielder coming in Zubamendi who can do a lot of great things for the midfield with energy, with zest, and can again rotate and come into positions. We have a moment to build on something for a little bit more sturdy, a little bit more, again, just a little bit more stable so that we can
yeah,
actually have an opportunity to rotate. Because I feel like that's also another thing people don't understand of like our depth. It would be great if people were available throughout the season, but like this is his first season actually being fully available. His first one, like really outside of his first season, this is his first season back where he's like, oh, I actually played through most of the games. Like it's great. But we need everybody to kind of be on that same accord so we can rotate, so we can be fresh and attack a season on all fronts like we want to.
yeah, yeah, for sure. And I'm glad you mentioned Zubimendi, right? Because as we maybe transition to this next development in the transfer window, I want to start by clearing up something that a lot of people are getting incorrect a little bit, which is
Mm.
it looks like we're going to sign Christian Norgaard, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people are viewing Norgaard because of the proximity to this Party news as the Party replacement. That's
Mm-hmm.
not correct, right? Like Zubamendi is the Party replacement, and what happened was Party was offered the opportunity to be the Jorginho replacement,
Mm-hmm.
and he didn't want to do it with the terms that we offered him, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we decided to go out and get Christian Norgaard as the Jorginho replacement, not the
Facts.
Party replacement. And so I just want to say that at the top, so any listeners or viewers who feel about it differently, kind of understand where we're coming from here. So,
I agree.
um,
I agree.
yeah,
It's the pecking order of it. Again, Zubamani's coming in was that he's not coming in to ride no bench. I'm sorry. You see this level of activity, you see what he can do on the pitch, you see how well he can probably gel into the team, how many things of like thinking of you can put him in a pivot with him and Rice. You could put like an MLS into the mix. Like he's not coming to ride the bench. He's not doing that. So yeah, I agree with that pecking order. He's coming in to start, and whoever was left over are gonna be those rotational backups in different levels. And again, Norgaard's coming in for 11 million on like a minor contract, as we know. So it's not going to be that much money. He's going to come in to do a job. Again, it's like I think this is the same thing that happened with Marino. Like we bought Marino, and people were like, "Oh, so I guess he's supposed to start now. He did great in the Euros and da da da." And people jumped the gun instead of thinking, "Oh, maybe he's just a floor raiser. Like a floor raiser. Like he helps the bottom of our team, our foundation, our rotations, keeps us fresh, keeps us healthy, and has a good technical flooring to himself, rather than a roof raiser, a ceiling raiser, a crazy super talent that's going to start every game." Marino wasn't that, in my opinion. I don't think he was that. He was somebody to fill out the ranks with some quality and consistency, and I think that's what Christian Norgaard is as well. So I thought it was similar in that way.
Yeah, and I think it's a really savvy move, right? Because you're bringing in a guy. I know people wanted Lucy and Agume, right? And it sounds like we're still interested. That might not be on the cards this summer, but like, I understand why we went for Norgaard, right? Because a lot of people have been making the Sambi Lakanga comparison, not in terms of like, not in terms of like profile or anything, but like just because like we brought in this young midfielder from outside the league who apparently had a very high ceiling, and look how that turned out, So I think, I like the idea of getting a guy who's very settled in the Premier League, has the experience, is in his prime, and is going to be fairly inexpensive as well. I'm pretty excited about that. It sounds like he's currently on like 85K with Brentford, right?
Hey, listen,
which is great.
Damn near a BOGO. We'll take that. That's wonderful. I can live with that all day just for what he brings as well. 11 million, 85K. It's perfect.
Yeah, and like you're getting a backup goalkeeper in Kepa and a backup defensive midfielder in Norgaard, both players who are very, very experienced. Kepa maybe more so, although I'm pretty sure Norgaard used to play for Real Madrid in his younger days.
I gotta check his track history. I completely forget, honestly. Oh man, off the top of my head. But yeah, it's just a solid floor raisers, And I just wanted to point this out to people because I feel like, again, context is something that often escapes football fans, and that's something that like doesn't always stick with people. Listen, we had a goalkeeper that was cup tied for most of the season last year, and the only game he played, he was in midfield and almost got chipped from like 30 yards out, and he was next to the ball. We can do better. You know what I'm saying? Like these are people that we're bringing in are at least a little bit better in the floor that we're building. The foundation gets solidified. So again, it's like sometimes people take the signings to extremes and think, oh, because we signed this player, this is supposed to be our star signing. It's still June 25th. There's still time to go. And we're bringing in players that are going to actually bolster the squad in terms of effectiveness on all fronts. That's what people want. And these are the signings that may not be the glitz and the glam, the prettiest, but down the stretch, when we need players and we need people who are going to be durable and ready for a fight on all fronts, these are going to be the kinds of people that step up and be accounted for, like how people slated Marino, and then Marino just got slotted up into the 9 position and he started showing out. That's one of the people that's one of those, again, standout people who aren't going to be the superstars, but they're going to be needed pieces.
Yeah, and so I will correction for myself. He didn't play for Real Madrid. I got that idea from the fact they wore a Real Madrid jersey
in training, right? He wore it in training. Yeah. You're right. I remember that picture. Yeah.
He played for Hamburg and Fiorentina before Brentford signed him. But yeah, I think that's exactly right with like the idea here where you're bringing in these experienced players who don't let the level drop too much when you have to play them. And the thing is, this is the name of the game very quickly now is becoming depth, right? Where you have just year-round football, you're playing 50, 60 games a season, and we're seeing that players just cannot be asked to play every single minute, right? Gabriel and Saliba and Saka and Havertz and Odegaard, like all those guys are picking up injuries, and we need to be able to find those moments where we can kind of take them out of the firing line a little bit. and rest them up. So Marino is one guy, especially at the 8 position, who I think can do that very well. Norgaard, I think, also will be excellent at doing that. Kepa, I think Kepa, if we have to play him in, League Cup games and FA Cup games and like the occasional Premier League game, right?
He won't be cup tied. So we're our trajectory is already better than Neto, man. We're shooting above the bar, baby. Let's go.
Dude, as soon as I heard that Neto is cup tied, I was like, what's the point? What are you doing?
we had him on work experience for a whole season, man. we just showing him around, man. It was the whole like package deal. It was giving vacation days. Like it's crazy. Oh my gosh.
My favorite joke from that whole thing was because this happened like a few days after we let Vieira go to Porto, and there was a picture of Neto like laughing with Martinelli in training, and they're like, "Oh, like they just signed a friend for Martinelli."
Listen, they're signing emotional support players now. I thought win wasn't enough. Win isn't enough anymore. We need to get signings around these people so we just like the vibes is high. Listen, Arteta knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah. But yeah, I wouldn't say like I'm massively excited about Norgaard, but I think it's a savvy move, right? Very defensively capable, underrated passer. Very good at winning the ball in the final third. Actually, he's better than Partey in a lot of different categories as well. So, maybe these guys know what they're doing. So yeah, I'm pretty thrilled about that. And another thing that I am thrilled about is. So Sammy Mockbell was on Latte Firm earlier today, and FK asked him straight up, out of Šeško and Gyökeres, who do you think it's going to be? And I think Mockbell hedged his answer slightly, but he was like, if everything goes according to plan, we're going to get Šeško. And then he went on to say, but that's going to plan. And, as of now, there isn't like a favorite in terms of how things are going to work out.
Okay.
But if everything goes according to plan, it's Šeško. So, I'll ask you a question that you've probably been asked like 18,000 times at this point, which is, which one of those guys do you personally prefer? And, if you're not into Šeško that much, would it be a disaster if we signed him?
I will start with the latter question. I'll start with number 2. And again, I absolutely have been asked this question 8 million times by everybody under the sun. All kinds of people have been saying, we've been doing this since like April. The window didn't even start yet. And they was already running these questions like, yo, we're going to get X, Y, but we're over there. You know what I'm saying? Like Watkins was kind of in the mix, but not so much. But this question has been run down to the ground already. And the window's only just started. But whether it would be a disaster signing one player over the other, or if we don't get Šeško, which seems to be our primary, and we get Gyökeres. Let me tell you this right now. We went into Champions League games with Mikel Merino and Leandro Trossard as our 9 options. Let me say that one more time. We went into Champions League games, knockout rounds, with Mikel Merino, who that was his first professional stint at 9.
Yeah.
And Leandro Trossard, who plays on the wing typically and might have a debuff if Anne Hathaway is not within 1,000 yards of his playing area. No offense to them, but they're not like crazy 9s. We have we've stared down the barrel of absolutely destitute attacking situations, especially in the striker position, ever since Aubameyang left truly. And I thought we had a ray of hope, but unfortunately, Gabriel Jesus injuries have screwed us. That's just kind of how it is.
Yeah.
You're telling me we have somebody. Forget it's the Portuguese league. The man scored 50, 60 something goals in a season. Absolutely bossing it. Gave our center back partnership some problems when we saw him. You're telling me a guy like that is available, is literally turning people down left and right, apparently. Man United and people's calling is like, yo, are you Arsenal? No? Okay, cool. Goodbye. Hanging up the phone, begging to come our way. An absolute monster like that's begging to come our way. And on the other side, you got a person that we've been scouting for a long time, talking to for a long time, seems to be poised as an absolute monster talent. We've seen the absolute potential that he has. It might take a little bit to unlock it, but we know the raw talent that guy has. If you're telling me we can get either of these options, one side, pick one. The other side, Marino, Trossard, looking at what we got currently. This is a tough choice. Will I be mad if I get? No, I will not be mad at all. Listen, I will win either way. My motto for this entire window has really been, again, one, keep the peace. Obviously, I'm not going to look too much into it. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to try my best to stay and avoid it. But two, it was specifically for Arsenal, their transfer board. Do something. The worst thing you could ever do in this window, especially, is do nothing. There is zero room for doing nothing. And I mean doing the right business in the positions that we need it in terms of doing something. They know what they have to do. Again, Timber's been talking about it. Rice has been talking about it for half a season. Arteta said something about it at the end of the season, a little speech. He's like, listen, we got to go on the beach and do what we need to do. We all know what we have to do, so do something. If we sign either one of those two, the market improvement we're going to make in an attacking sense will be dramatic. Like it's going to be apparent off the rip. If we sign either of these guys, as they're just competent clinical finishers, that's all I need at the base end of the day. So if we get Gyökeres, I get my free PR points. I'll be spamming this every week, and I'm good. I promise you, I'll be content. I'm gonna have that down pat. If we get Sesko, I'm gonna be good because I know what he provides and carries. It's just the fact of filling that role with quality, and these guys are well above the bar that we have now. So in terms of those two choices, there's no room to be picky, in my opinion, if you're an Arsenal fan. Because look at what we got at home. You know, people, like parents be saying, oh, they drive past McDonald's and like, oh yeah, we got food at home. The food ain't even that good at home. So let's be honest. Let's be honest on that. Okay, that part's done. Other question. The preference between these two switches every day. I'll be very honest. It switches almost very, very, very frequently. I think the readiness and just the prime, just instinctual, like you can just see the apparent quality of Gyökeres. Just the strength, what he's been able to do in the Portuguese league. Like I like his style, especially in the instance where you see how we win so many balls high in like the opponent's third of the pitch. And there's these moments where we're able to, again, turn to a quick attacking situation where it's 1-on-1 or 2v1. We had so many of these high turnovers that barely even converted to proper shots on target. So many instances. There were so many counterattacks and so many high turnover situations that turned to nothing, that his ability, you put that in there last season, he scores 5 to 10 goals just off of those situations alone by himself. So his apparent quality, I would absolutely love. And then on the other side, you got Sesko, who just seems to be like just this. He's got this magic about him. He's a 6'5" aerial monster that also has crazy tech, you know what I'm saying, ball striking capability, all these things that's still kind of moldable. It's such a conundrum for me because, one, I don't care. Get me somebody who isn't the people that we have now. But it's also a thing of like, do we want to opt for somebody who can who's, I guess, primed to hit the ground running right now at his age and at his like level of experience? Or do you want to get somebody who's a more kind of a raw talent, but may have that higher ceiling that could turn into a superstar that, you know, before our very eyes? For right now, I'm 52-48. Benjamin Šeško. That's where I'm at. It may change tomorrow. It may change by next week. But as it stands, I still think that the ability that Šeško has is something that I would love to see. I think he is somebody who can mesh well and also grow well in terms of the interplay, in terms of, again, the tidiness, some of the technical ability that he can, again, grow into and build on top of. And sometimes I feel like Leipzig themselves don't even use him to his best abilities. So I'd be interested to see how he fits into our system. And just with his raw capabilities alone, I feel like he could make a killing. Some of the things that, like, again, we could supply for him, I think would be insane to see. So that's the leading thought in my head right now. We'll see what happens by the end of the week.
Yeah, so I'm also in the Šeško camp right now. I will say I'm probably a little lower on Gyökeres than you are.
Okay.
But I will say this, right? I do have concerns about the level of the Portuguese league and kind of and the lack of the headed goals. However, I don't think Gyökeres is a guaranteed flop. I just think we'd have to change how we play, right? So we would have to get better at counterattacking. And, you know, the Premier League already is becoming a more counterattacking driven league.
Yes.
A lot more transitions in that league than there used to be.
Very.
So I think he'd feed very well off that. And we'd also probably have to play like Havertz or Marino as like a box crashing 8 alongside of him to make up for kind of that lack of aerial prominence, which, I think you could do. But even on top of that, we create so many chances, and especially if you went and signed a guy like Rodrigo, like we create so many chances that the guy is going to score. It's just that I think we might be looking at more of an Aubameyang style center forward than maybe kind of a guy who links up play and gets involved as well. So I like Šeško way more because this is a guy that comes in and fits in very well to how we play, but also has the ability to maybe become like one of the best center forwards in the world. But I do agree with your general point, which is bring either one of them. Either one of them is an improvement over what we have now, right? And I can't take another year of watching us fumble really straightforward counterattacks, of watching us fluff our lines when we have an opportunity to shoot, or just not shooting. But the number of times that like we had the ball in like really good shooting chances and we didn't pull the trigger, and I just sat there just like, what is wrong with you?
Oh my gosh.
Just
so
lace it.
Many times. So many. If we just learn how to kick, like the scouting reports on all these players to just say kick ball hard. Like literally, all of them should just say kick ball hard. Because nobody on the team, bar Saka when he gets like a little thing, and Declan Rice, people are consistently like, all right, if I'm in a spot, I'll kick ball hard. I'll see what's going on. And I'll give Trossard some slack too. So Trossard sometimes do it. But like the level of like indecision and just fear to strike the ball from long range. And then again, I don't want to call anybody outside of the team out like this, but like you see people like Marmoush, and sometimes when they see space a little bit, they're gonna be like, oh, I'm banging it, I'm gone. And you're seeing so many dynamic, like long range shooters, and people are going to take the risk. I want endeavor. I want ball striking endeavor. Like that's just that would solve so many problems. Because I feel like, again, for how we play anyways, there's almost an expectation that, oh, we're trying to walk the ball into the goal. So people just back up. They'll leave spaces in the middle. They're kind of like, they might press in the mid block, but when we got them backed up in chances, like they don't care about the middle of the pitch. They're like, okay, let that run. Chase Odegaard around for a little bit. Let it go to the wings. We'll deal with them there. We'll double up there and we'll see what happens. But if you put that fear factor of somebody really ready to just bang it from long range and just ready to go at a moment's notice, that creates indecision. That creates the moment of, dang, should I actually step out? And that may give you the opportunity to actually walk the ball into the goal. That may give you the opening, but we're not giving anybody the questions to ask. We're not giving anybody extra question to be like, oh, are they going to shoot from long range? Are they going to kind of, play tiki-taka? What's going on here? The people kind of know the mechanisms. It's hard for people to track positionally because we rotate so much, but the attacking mechanism itself, people are very familiar with Arsenal at this point. And it's up to us to create that level of dynamism and fear factor again through indecision. What are we going to do? We have to be unpredictable again on this front. We have to get dynamism back into that attack. So any one of them could do, but 52-48 Sesko for now.
Yeah, for sure. Just shoot the ball, guys. Really, it's not. It's okay. Like,
it's not going to hurt you. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to bite back. I promise. I can put money down on this. If you kick the ball hard, good things will happen. I promise.
So, and Šeško and Gyökeres both do that. So we'll see what happens there. I think because of kind of the necessity to bring in someone before the preseason starts, I think that's going to happen the next couple weeks.
Yeah,
and we'll go for there. Fingers 100%. Crossed. But one last thing before we get into the keep sell loan. So Miles Lewis-Skelly, here we go, confirmed, signed his contract extension. So just how important is this that we've locked down Lewis-Skelly for the foreseeable future?
First and foremost, Real Madrid, eat your hearts out. Y'all trying to tap people up. Yeah, listen, that's not gonna fly on this side. You know what I'm saying? We saw what the Bernabeu was like. We saw all that, man. We're good off of that.
The remontada still is not on, unfortunately.
It's off like hell, boy. I tell you that. Power's off. The breaker boxes, they're all locked off and everything. You can't get no power towards that thing. It's dead. It's done. But I'm so happy. I'm so happy that this guy is locked down. And I think he's, again, a Haaland boy, Arsenal through and through. And the way him and Ethan Waneri burst onto the scene this past season is still registering in my head fully. Like, these guys are 17 and 18, playing like grown ass men, like they've been here for several seasons. And Miles is specifically, especially with like that on the level of like physicality. Can he handle the challenge? Can he handle the mental side of it, and also the physical side of like so many games in the Prem, physical sides who are not gonna treat you lightly just because you're a kid in this Champions League against like prestigious sides who are comfortable with the competition. When a talent like this comes around, you got to do everything you can to lock him down. And I thank the good heavens above he came from Hell End and he loves this club so much. Like it is more than a godsend that this guy is here and he's locked in for a long term. He's got the mentality. He's got the physical capability already at 18 years old, built like a Dragon Ball character at 18, just muscling people off like nobody's business at 18.
More like serious guys too, like Morgan Rogers and like Aurelian Tchouameni.
No slouches. People who are regarded as some of the strongest people and like can carry the ball, shrug them off. He's moving like they feathers in the wind. No matter. Again, that the ball carrying ability that we've seen him again just progress with throughout several important games, like the no fear mentality that he has from his own position. And I'm just ecstatic that we have that. And again, I think this plays well into where we're at right now, because look how the midfield's constructed right now. You know, we got Zubamendi coming in, and then we have all the other sort of people who might play 6 and 8 and stuff like that. Miles will have his games at left back and stuff and inverting in and doing what he does. But I think if we do not sign another younger prospect midfielder, he will have time on the ball in the midfield. He will have chances in the 6. People can quote me on this. I think if we do not sign any other midfielder past Norgaard and Zubamendi, he will have games where he starts at the 6 and he will play from those moments, and he will have time to shine in the midfield. I think it bodes well for him to get more time in that position, because I think everybody sees that he has the capabilities to end up in midfield from a starting position in and of itself. I think looking at the left back position anyways, don't want to get off that topic too much, but there might be room for an overlapping fullback, a swashbuckling fullback rather. So we could possibly add that to the ranks and slowly integrate him into the midfield longer term. I think there's room for him to be seen, whereas a lot of people might want him to be seen in that 6th position this season. So he has that room. He has the world is his oyster. I think people need to just slow down. He's 18, as great as he is, and he just stepped on the scene. He has so far to go. He has so many levels to improve to. He has so many positions to own. He has so many moments to make. As if he already didn't make enough already. He's made a good amount this so far. He has so much potential, and I think Arteta sees that, and I think how the squad's constructed gives him some room to not only keep doing what he does from left back, but also have some opportunity to kind of go purely into midfield and influence things from there as he grows and goes along, gets stronger, gets more stamina to be in that position and dictate play. Listen, this kid's one of the best talents in the world. He's one of the best young talents in the world, bar none. Like no question, one of the best defensive talents in the world in terms of like under 18s. I think he's probably top 1, top 2. I gotta sprinkle some names off me, like maybe a Mascara or something. I think 21, but whatever. I think he is absolutely destined for great things. I think he's a world-class player in the making, and I'm just glad he's locked down with us. And that's it's $100 million we ain't got to worry about, man. We got it at home. Yeah. We got it at home.
Yeah. And right, like I think it's awesome to see Hale End producing this level of talent. Like almost consistently now, like Saka, that's a £150 million player, right? Okay. Waneri, I think, Waneri currently, like I'd ask for 60, 70, quite honestly, right? Yeah, but I think Waneri is going to hit 9 digits in terms of his value one day. Miles Skelly, I think, is already there. If Max Dowman is anything like people are saying he is, then like that's another guy who's just going to be like, a Galactico level talent, right? Yeah. So that's, we're talking like that could be almost $500 million that Hale End will save us in the long run, which I think is insane. That's such a good point that you made about kind of the 6th position and kind of, what we could do there, right? Because that's kind of another thing to consider. I know people really latched on to the Agume thing, right? And like, that's kind of another thing to consider, which is maybe we have that guy at home already. And, that's why we brought in Norgaard. Zubimendi, I think, is 25, 26, right? So it gives Lewis Skelly a bit of time to maybe adjust to that role. Zubimendi also, I think, can function as an 8. And, in previous episode, we had George on, who basically said as much from the Cannon Pod. And, in addition to that, right, we have Calafiori, who can play left back. It sounds like we're really interested in Joel Heto, who can also play left back.
That will be
yeah.
And perfect.
And both those guys can overlap too. Lewis Skelly isn't much of an overlapper, but Calafiori definitely can. Heto, I think, can as well.
Absolutely.
So I think that gives you the base to allow you to transition Lewis Skelly into midfield, whether that's at 6 or at 8, because I think he can do either one of those jobs. So, I just think there's, like you said, the world's his oyster. He can be whatever he wants, basically. Yeah. Such a talented player. And another thing, right, in addition to his talent, is his resilience, because the amount of shit that he went through from the media this year, no one period should be subject to that, but like no 18-year-old especially, right, should ever have to go through that. And he came out on the other side smiling. Yeah,
crazy. Again, this kid was at the Bernabeu just smiling, wrapping around, FaceTiming his family and stuff like, and there's no worries in the face of all this other crap. He's just, again, head up, chin held high and stuff like that. He's not fazed by any of this. His mentality and approach just on game, on life, let alone the game, is just so strong. It's so assured in himself, so confident that none of this other external noise and BS and all that stuff is like that is going to ever phase him. So all the claims that, he was being a thug because of the BS red cards and stuff like that. Kudos, you pushed him. That wasn't a red. Like all that other stuff in the league, all these other claims that, he's this, that, and the third, calling him out of his name. None of that stuff ever bothered him. None of that stuff ever bothered him. Huge credit to him and his mentality. Huge credit to the support system around him at the club, his family as well. It's so good to see all that stuff being thrown at him, and it just bounced. It just move, get out the way. I'm here for a reason. You know what I'm saying? I'm here because I'm talented. I put the work in. And I know I got a lot of levels to go here. So none of this stuff's gonna stop me now. And so it's just been great to see him step onto the scene and say, I'm gonna be here for a while, whether y'all like it or not.
Yeah, absolutely special player, really special mentality. Sure. I mean, there's been whispers that people around the club say that he'd go on to be a club captain, and
I would love
after the season. Yeah,
I would love that. And again, and then he showed this from early too. That's one part of the mentality in the game. He don't back down for nobody. He was bucking Holland first appearance. Jumped onto the scene, he was bucking Holland like, what are you talking about, bro? What do you mean? On a reverse fixture, came back with he's war ready. He's war ready at 18, man. Ender's Game FC. He is ready, like Chow running into the battle. He's ready to go, man. No Hunger Games. Like he is absolutely like, he's a warrior, man. He's a warrior. I'm glad he's in our side when stuff goes down any day of the week.
Yeah, and that's a mentality, that's a personality that can win you trophies. They're not scared of anybody.
100%.
So, absolutely special player. Glad we're holding on to him. Speaking of holding on to, we are finally going to get to the keep, sell, loan and talk about who we want to hold on to and who we don't. So, this is the second time I'm doing this on the pod. Share screen.
Let's go.
Okay, now you're supposed to tell me. There it is. Takes a second. Okay. And there we go. All right.
There we go.
So,
all right.
We're doing basically a tier maker list. I felt like that was just easier. So, tell you what, before we jump into this, why don't we just calibrate real quick? And there's a few players on here that I think should be easy.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to pick them. You tell me what you think. So, number 1, William Saliba.
You better keep that. Listen, hey, if anybody says anything else, hey, man, we should be tried at the Hague. We're going to put you in jail, brother. But yeah.
Number 2, Gabriel.
Double keep. Double. I might take a pilgrimage to Brazil myself to show my thanks, man. Keep.
Declan Rice.
Double keep. I just ate some rice today. You know what I'm saying? I paid respects just earlier. Easy. Keep.
There he is. Starboy himself, Bukayo Saka.
keep, and I might find some extra soccer sauce from Nando's and stuff like that. I know they just discontinued it. I'm gonna find some extra ones. Don't worry, I'm gonna get it right.
Dude, I never did they ever get that to the States? Because I was waiting for that
I
and
don't
I couldn't find it.
I don't think they got it to the States. I was over there. I was over there around the time it was still running. So I was like, all right, let me just, let me just try a little bit. It was good too.
That was so disappointing. That
Mm,
I think they would have sold boatloads.
They
over
would
here,
have
but
crazy. Listen, that they don't realize the power that they got over on this side. We gotta keep showing them, man. Like, listen, you got a base here. You got a customer base.
yeah, it's funny because I remember I got to do a thing with I was in the what's it called, Guess That Gooner
Yeah,
episode last summer,
yeah.
and I remember I was talking to one of the guys like kind of before we shot, and he was like, yeah, like the first time we came over here, like we were really surprised with like just like the, like we knew that we had a
Yeah.
following, like we knew that there were a lot of like American Arsenal fans, but just like the actual like level of it was surprising.
Oh
And I was
no,
like, yeah, man.
it's deep. It's deep. They don't understand. I feel like, again, the first time I saw him here in the States was that 2022 preseason, and everybody was deep. Oh my goodness, like it was waves and waves of people. I'm like, I feel like they got it from that run in of like, oh yeah, nah, they're rabid, they're serious. Like this is a lot of Arsenal territory around the States. There's no question about that.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm.
Okay, we just talked about him, Miles
Yeah.
Skelly.
As an auto keep, anyways, man. As an auto keep. Beautiful.
Okay, there's probably a few others in here that are also auto keeps, but we'll just start going down the list now from
All right.
from kind of like back to front.
Mm-hmm.
So David Raya.
Listen, back-to-back Golden Glove. Like, what more do you want from him? Again, sometimes one of the unsung heroes.
Yeah.
I'll be very honest. I love him, but I don't know why people are asking for older keepers when we have this guy in goal. Again, if he was like 3 inches taller, he'd be the greatest goalkeeper of all time. But right now, he's still world class. It is what it is. Ultra keep, fantastic player.
Yeah, I think it makes me think of the Joan Garcia situation, right?
Yeah,
Where people were really upset that we didn't sign him, and like to an extent, I understand that because like
yeah,
Garcia's going to go on to be an
a
amazing
talent
keeper, one of the best in the world,
for
right?
sure.
But we already kind of saw what happened when you brought in Raya to compete with Ramsdale, and there was just that little period of instability, right?
Yes,
And Ramsdale didn't perform well. Raya, I think, struggled a little bit when he first came in because you have two guys who don't really know.
they didn't have
Like,
time to bet in. It was just
yeah,
compete, swap, and we don't know what's going on until Arteta steadies ship. He's like, all right, listen, right, you're playing, go, and then
yeah.
he figured it out.
But also with goalkeepers especially, I feel like there needs to be that sense of like, okay, I'm the number one, and
Yeah,
like I'm the guy who's going to go in. Otherwise, like because it's such it like more than the other positions, I think it's such a mental and emotional based
super,
position. So
super.
if you have that bit of doubt where it's like, oh well, I don't know where I am and like in the pecking order, I
You're gonna
think
be
that really
afraid.
does.
It might it
Yeah.
might it might seep into your play where you might make mistakes or be a bit too overcautious and stuff. And yeah, and jump into that. I can put hand to heart and put Scouts honor and say, like, when the rotation thing was happening, I was like, oh well, let's see what happens. Let's see what plays out. Maybe the best person to win and somebody will just be supporting and stuff like that. I didn't know how much of an effect it would have. And looking at it play out, like, again, from the seasons when it started, I'm like, dang, yeah, now we probably should have just stuck with one and like left the other to go somewhere else, because yeah, like you said, it can have such a huge effect on the mental for keepers. Continuity is big. Continuity is big.
Yeah. So yeah, so I'm happy to let Garcia go to another club. Obviously, like it's gonna suck seeing him
Yeah.
become great there, but like, yeah, Raya's just so good. I don't want to unsettle that guy, and I'm glad we're bringing in Kepa. I think that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah,
So,
100%. Cheap
um,
deal, cheap buy, no problem. And listen, more funds for the other players that we need to get. Good, you know what I'm saying? Let's think positively, y'all. Because if we spent that money on a goalkeeper, people would have yelled at us for not spending that money on forward. So listen, if you're damned, you do. You're damned, you don't. This is that type of situation. We just got to put an objectivity to it.
yep, exactly. So the other goalkeeper that we have here is Carl Hein, who I think he
Yeah.
spent the season on loan at Real Valladolid, if I have that correctly.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I think it's best alone again. I still haven't seen the best of him. He's had some bad shows for us. He's had some good moments for us in his little small stints that we've seen him. Probably do for another loan, especially with Kepa coming in. Just makes sense to give him some time and let's see what happens with him. We got Jack Porter in the ranks. We have a couple other young keepers who seem to be promising that we brought into the academy. So this could be a moment where we just adjudicate, give him some more time on the ball and see what happens elsewhere, and then bring him back and see what's going on.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, I'm not particularly like emotionally invested in Carl Hein.
Yeah, not as much.
Yeah, just like it looks to me like he doesn't really have a future at the club, which is fine. But yeah, I think if an offer comes in, I think I'm about the same situation as you, where like an offer comes in, obviously take it. But if nothing does come in, like I think it's just best to let him go play football somewhere else, and then we'll deal with it next summer.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. One thing about loan deals, we got to get better at them and get more active in how we send players out, because I feel like that's a part of our game where we've been just not very good in being effective in handling certain players, or more reactive than proactive in certain situations. But that's just something to cross the bridge when we get to it, I guess.
Yeah. Next up, we got Ben White.
Absolute keep, man. My warrior, man. One of the guys, Benny Blanco, man. This guy, listen, this is one of the things that we all got to talk about. Once the rotation is solid, you'll see the best form of all these players come back to life. You saw Timber damn near worked his ass to the bone last season. That was Ben White the season before, and people might have lost their long-term memories and forgot how good this guy actually is. But once he's healthy and 100%, and we have our players back in full rotation to give rest and reprieve to everybody and get more time on the ball across all comps, you'll see the best of him come back. I'm glad he got some game time towards the end of last season. There's absolutely no reason why he should be on loan or sold at this point. He's an absolute warrior. Again, more of an attacking threat than people may realize, and he's gonna fight tooth and nail for the bad to the end of his days. So you know what? We gotta keep him. Gotta keep him.
Yeah. No, I love Ben White so much.
Love him. Love him.
Just such a shit house, such a really determined player, like really gritty, plays through injury. And like you said, like he's our, out of the two fullbacks, right? Or out of the two right backs, he's the better one going forward, I think, just because he's just a little bit more slick on the overlap, more willing to do that. I think he's better, like a better creator, especially with his crossing. But also the thing that I really love about White is that every once in a while he is willing to just kind of dribble a defender or two and take a shot.
Yeah.
And
again, at moments he'll show some endeavor and just pull something out the bag a little bit. And I like it. I like it. And that's what we need. And it's ironic that sometimes our fullbacks are the ones with the most like creative endeavor and pull something out the bag rather than the rest of our team. But it is what it is. But he's one of those people who's like, if something's on, he'll have a pop, and who knows what'll come from it.
Yeah. And, I think as we kind of deal with like mid blocks and low blocks next season, when we have to get better at being flat track bullies, I think White is going to come in handy a lot. And that's a guy who's, And so, I'm looking forward to him being, 100% healthy after kind of having this preseason and this summer to rest up. And he'll be great. And the other right back, Urian Timber.
Listen, man, made sure every time I read them verses he posts, man, we make sure we locked in every time he on the pitch, bro. Absolute keep first and foremost. And I don't think people understand how dangerous he would have been had he not torn his ACL in his debut season. I don't think people understand how he would have rocked people had he been here for that season. I don't think people really like fully grasp it, but I think somebody said it might have been another video or something like that out there where it's like, yo, what one player out there would you have 11 of if you could? Jurian Timber, I would have 11 of him on the pitch. Like he in all phases, he can do all in all phases. I've seen him so technically comfortable, so staunch of a defender. Again, if he needs to again dribble and do a little movement, he can. If he needs to be like do something in the box, fight for something in the box for a header or something like that, and in an offensive sense, he will. just one of those threats across the pitch that you're like, yo, wherever he's at, he's probably comfortable. If he's like in the left wing, I'm not worried because I'm like, man, he'll get out of that. He good. He know what he's doing. He know where he's at. I have complete trust in him as a player. And again, I think when everybody's fit and 100%, he's probably one of the best 1v1 defenders in the side. Top 5, top 3, definitely. I think, in my opinion, one of the best 1v1 defenders is probably, again, like him, Saliba, Gabriel, Tomiyasu, probably off the top of my head, is the best 1v1 defenders. He has a shout, especially off last season, how many wingers he's got in his back pocket still. He's got a shout to be that. So keep 100%.
Yeah. I agree completely. Like, one of the best lockdown defenders that we've seen. Definitely one of the best in the world right now, I think. I mean, this guy shut down Vinny Jr. in 2 consecutive games. I mean, Vinny, I know Vinny Jr. scored a goal at the Bernabeu, but like we handed that.
That
to him,
that ain't count. So Saliba
Exactly.
was sad. He wanted to give everybody a little consolation, man. You know they needed something. They needed some pick me up. He was like, all right, y'all can have that one.
Yeah. So I love Timber as like a big game right back. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Because
Absolutely.
White definitely is excellent, but he does get run sometimes when he's up against like this high level attacking talent. So just to have both those guys and like how they balance each other out and like the different ways you can use them, I think that's so exciting for the future.
Oh, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. Depth. Who knew? Who knew? What a concept, man. What a concept.
Oh man, who would have thought? Next guy up is one Ricardo Calafiori.
Oof. Ricky Calafiori, absolute keep. There's no question about that. Another person where I think people don't understand I don't think they understand what kind of talent we have on our hands fully. Again, I think people are trying to conflate his actual level with the unluck he's had with his injuries. And I think that's something that people need to decouple in their minds absolutely quickly, because that is not how life goes. That is not how things work. You've seen how dynamic he can be on the pitch. He is absolute X factor. It makes no sense how the positions he finds himself in, but he's like, man, let me just carry the ball like 60 yards, get in there, put a fast ass cross in and see what happens, and he'll just do it off the willpower, off of the pure strength of him being Calafiori. He'll find himself in some crazy positions. And when we're in a system that is so that causes so much let's say compactness from opposition, a breaker like that who's gonna be from an unlikely position and create some run that's going to draw defenders, is going to draw people and create some confusion and chaos. You need those kinds of players. You need those kinds of players that create X factor from unlikely spots. They rotate and they find a little position here or there. They find themselves in the box at a random time, and they keep the opposition on their heels. He's one of those players. And I feel like because we've lacked the firepower in our offensive sense, we haven't seen how impactful he can be fully. Like when everybody else is firing and then he's coming in on top of that from the top rope, just tagged in, that you'll see like, I think it's going to be a whole new level of appreciation for him. But even in last season, the moments he had against Wolves, the banger against City, literally off the rip, off the press, that banger against City. Again, a couple other moments as well. I think, again, the injuries, some of the 1v1 defending just need to calm himself down a bit. He's young. So again, he's 20. He's younger than Saka, 21. So giving him time to bed in, we got a serious talent on our hands. I think people need to be a little bit calmer in that fact that he's going to grow into a monster, and he already has X factor that's beneficial for the team.
Yeah. He's a joker in the pack, right?
100.
And like,
Absolutely.
I understand that he's had injury problems, and this season was not a good one in terms of his ability to stay on the pitch.
Mm-hmm.
But you mentioned the goal against City, and then there was his goal at Wolves that kind of saved the points after that dumbass Lewis Skelly red card that wasn't a red card. So there's that goal at PSV that I thought was an amazing finish.
Yes, I completely forgot about that one too. Yes.
Yeah, it just popped up out of nowhere. I think it was the seventh goal that we scored. And so this guy has the ability, like you said, he has ability to change games, which is ridiculous from a defender, right? So I do have like a bit of concern. And if next season is the same situation where he plays like 16 games because, he comes out to the field and then slips and
Mhm.
tears a couple ligaments,
Yeah.
like, yeah, I will, like, my concerns will be serious at that
Mhm.
point. But right now, I'm still willing to kind of give him a chance because that kind of game breaking talent, if you can harness that properly, that's a game changer. That's um that's stuff that can get you titles and like create those
Absolutely.
moments that like make the difference. So yeah, big
Absolutely.
fan of Calafiori, and yeah, also willing to keep him.
For
But
sure.
another guy we have in that position is Jakub Kivior, who,
Ah,
you know,
TV. This is tough. This is the
yeah,
tougher one.
this is
Oh,
probably the toughest one we had so far.
this is the tougher one. Listen, this guy's absolutely proven himself to be a solid addition. His mentality, his just approach when he stepped in for Gabrielle. He was like, listen, I may not be him, but I'm going to do what I can. I'm going to do what I do. And he stepped in very well in so many important and crucial ties. We thought, again, many people thought it was going to kind of be like a Rob Holding situation where he might have dropped the levels of the squad down significantly, but he didn't. I think he stepped up, he stuck in and was a absolutely quality part of our defense for the remainder of the season when he stepped in for Gabrielle. I think out of the back line, probably had some of the most dynamic passing, in my opinion. Like I thought, I think his passing range in general is like really, really great, especially for long range passing. I look to see from like our defenders, like switching the ball, trying to get isolation, like ISO situations, 1v1 to our wingers quickly. That's something I would love to see more from our team. And he was
Yeah.
he was one of the people that like helped initiate more of that from a defensive aspect, from a defensive position. So love him for that. Oh, whether he wants to stay or go is so tough. Oh my gosh. In This is one of those 52-48 situations. I'm saying keep. I'm saying keep. For now, keep. I think what he did this season can't be discounted. I really don't think it can. And given Gabrielle we don't know what shape he's going to be in for the season. That we don't know what, again, we're seeing I'm seeing, I'm saying, Jarrell Kwanzaa go for like 40 million, 35 plus add-ons. So if we don't get 50 or something like that for him in the field, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to talk
Yeah.
about it. I want no notion of him going unless he goes for good money, like 50 mil at least. So there's that. And two, just the way he imposed himself over this back half of the season last season, I don't think it's far-fetched to say he deserves another run in the squad to, prove himself, to continue to solidify and be a piece of the squad. He proved himself to be reliable. We look for reliable. We look for floor raisers. We look for people who are going to stand up and be counted for. And for people with, with short-term memory loss and stuff like that, they may forget what he did, but I'm not going to forget what he did. And I think in these moments, again, we know he's not perfect. We know he has flaws, and we've seen that before, but when it came down to it, the team adjusted, they gelled to him, and he gelled to them and helped get us through and again, try and pick up as much as we could in that back half. Again, it didn't go our way, but I'm not going to discredit how he stepped in and did a shift and put in work. So I'm saying keep. I think for what we're doing across all comps, he'll be important.
Yeah, for sure. I think because of, again, like kind of like the heroics that he
Mhm.
did to end the season, for me right now he's a keep.
Yeah.
However, if we did acquire someone else like Jarrell Hato, right?
Yeah. That changes the equation.
Yeah, then it changes it, right? And I think Kivior probably becomes one of our more saleable assets,
Hmm.
which is fine, right? I think he deserves to go somewhere where he'll play a lot of minutes.
Absolutely.
But yeah, but right now, did a heck of a job. Showed that, I just think we've been unfair to him in the past and
Yeah.
rated him based on very limited minutes. That I think Kivior showed this season that if he just gets a run, then
Hmm.
he's an extremely capable defender. So hats off to
Absolutely.
him, and yeah, keep him in the squad. But
100.
next guy up, we've already
Yeah.
talked about him a little bit.
He's going in for sure. But just in
Yeah.
case you missed the first part, sell pile. Put that over there, boy. Put that to the bottom. That's our first one right there. We already know. Just quick cliff notes. You know what I'm saying? Just
Yeah.
unreliability on the pitch, unreliability in terms of availability. And I'm good. It's time to move on. It's time to move up. It's high time we did it.
Yeah. Yeah. Nothing
Same.
more to add to that. Yeah, just get him out.
Mm-hmm.
So here's a guy who I think is very difficult to talk about right now, and that's because we haven't seen him in a while, which is Takahiro Tomiyasu. Um,
Years.
so tore his ACL again, or actually, I'm not 100% sure that he tore his ACL, but he needed surgery, and it sounds like he's not going to be back until the end of the calendar year
Yeah.
next season.
Jeez.
But like I still remember his first couple seasons with us. He was excellent. Another lockdown defender, could
So
play
good.
across the back four comfortably. Um, really just seemed like like a good guy to have in the squad as well. But yeah, it's just been terrible for him
Yeah.
injury wise last few seasons. So yeah, I mean, what would you do with Tomiyasu?
It hurts so much. It hurts so much because I love Tomiyasu so much, man. Again, when he came in and he locked up Salah, I forget what game it was specifically, but he put a performance in against Salah, was putting his heart out. Again, one of the best 1v1 defenders in the club, when everybody's healthy and fit. It's just the injuries are so debilitating for him, man. It's been so sad to see. Again, we saw him for like a millisecond. We saw him for like a 15-second YouTube commercial. You know what I'm saying? We pressed skip ad and he was gone. You know what I mean? It was that fast. It was that fast that we saw him this season. And then he got
I think
injured.
he literally played 1 minute.
Literally, and it was gone. I was like, I could have left, came back, and he could have just disappeared. I wouldn't even know he showed up and had an appearance. Like, it was that fast. But it's so tough. It's so tough. But I have to still stay consistent with my thought process on availability has to be a chief ability. And at this point, if he's able to get a run on and we can get something out of it, I'd say sell. And it hurts me so much. This one hurts so much for me. I I I hope in my heart of hearts that when he comes back in the calendar year, he's healthy and he can actually contribute and show that, hey, listen, I don't think I'll ever be a starting piece, but I think I can stay where I'm at and still contribute in a little bit and lighten the load of Ben White and Jurriën Timber and go along. But as it stands, I feel like it may be a situation where he gets a little bit of run out and then he kind of goes on to greener pastures somewhere else, and it hurts because I absolutely love this guy. Absolutely do. I think just him as a person from what we've seen is very just bright and sprightly as that. A character around the team looks, again, just feels good. As a player, he's so versatile. I think he's one of the people that epitomize what Arteta wants in a lot of the squad, is that versatility and that effort across any position that you find yourself in. And he was one of those kind of representations of that, so it's tough to see him down, tough to see him hurt, but I feel like where my mind sets is like 55-45. I'd probably say sell him when it's the time to. But I hope I'm wrong. I hope he's healthy and we can just forget this ever happened.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where maybe just the intensity of the league is too much for him.
Yeah.
And, maybe that's something that can be alleviated by him being more of a role player. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's just one of those things where like it's been pretty consistent for a few seasons now that he's not that his body isn't reliable. I don't want to say that he's not reliable, but his
No.
body isn't. So yeah, I think that's a guy who, if you get an offer, you got to take it. And honestly, realistically, I could see his contract just running out and
Yeah.
he moves on. But note for anyone who's watching, and if you're listening, I recommend you watch it because we're doing a whole screen share thing. But just when we say sell, that doesn't mean that like we're under some impression that we can just like sell players at like the tap of a button. This is more just to say this is a player that we probably should continue on without if we had the opportunity to do so. So probably should have clarified at the top, but now I'm clarifying it.
Yeah, it's all good. We'll get the context later. It's all good. We'll catch on.
Just trying to avoid those comments where it's just like, oh well, like best of luck selling Tomiyasu. It's like, no, I know, I understand that, but
yes, we obviously know he is literally, his legs are paper mache right now. Will be difficult to do that in this market. Yes, we understand.
Speaking of a guy whose legs also could be paper mache, and then maybe the guy after him also qualifies as this as well. by Alexander Zinchenko.
Mm,
And I will note, right, this is a guy who's been linked to Fulham over the last
yes.
few days. AC Milan, apparently, we're looking at him earlier in the
Well,
summer. I'm not sure if he's still on their short list, but this is a guy who is drawing interest, and also had some interesting moments for us this
yes.
season, I will say.
Yeah. Man, first and foremost, I'm gonna say sell. Let me just get that out the way first. I'm gonna say sell, but I will give credit. You gotta give credit where credit is due. When him and the person that we're probably gonna talk about next stepped onto the scene for us, they absolutely radicalized our technical level. They brought us up to a level where we couldn't be contended with at times. We were
Yeah.
unplayable on our day, and a lot of that was down to them, their ingenuity, a lot of his ingenuity, a lot of his technical ability, and just the endeavor, the smarts to do what he does. And I think he was the first person that really ushered in that, the inverted role for us and stabilized it and show like, hey, this is what we can do with this kind of, again, tweak to our system. We can do this with this kind of outlay of player and position and role and responsibility. So I will forever be grateful to Zinchenko for that and how he was able to kind of introduce that idea. But I think now that we've gotten to this point where his injuries have kind of, again, set him back continually. And the strength of the league in terms of how physical it's becoming even more. Again, like you said earlier, it's really becoming that transition-based pedal to the metal league where we're going back and forth again. And on the defensive side of things, he's kind of improved slightly, but that level's still not enough for what we need to be secure in his position, to be secure in the areas that he operates and populates in terms of being switched on and being defensively sound enough to ward away attacks that are coming our way. And I mean, you saw it's kind of the succession plan. MLS is doing parts of what he's doing, bar again more like crazy technical, like like passing and nous. But generally, MLS is doing what Zinchenko has been doing, but to a much higher level and standard in terms of physicality mixed in with the technical ability. So overall, we've kind of got that succession plan in place. We've got Calafiori as well, who can, again, take a bit of that job carrying the ball, again, some incisive passing and being involved in, again, the attack from his areas. We have those succession plans in place now. And I just don't think he's, we probably don't have enough room to keep him around in that sense, especially if we're looking at like a Jarrell Hato. It's just time to go to greener pastures, dog, man. You know what I'm saying? Salute to him. We appreciate your service. You know what I'm saying? Just a one time, like thank you, bro. But you gotta roll. You gotta roll.
Yeah, I think people are really down on Zinchenko, and I'll pull him up too. Gabriel Jesus, right?
Mhm.
People are really down on these two, and I've heard people call their signings failures. I disagree with that, right? Because both these guys, I think, came in and did what they were supposed to do, which is kind of raise the level of the team, right?
Mhm.
When we signed them, we had just finished in fifth, and our goal for the 22-23 season was to make the Champions League. That's it. That's all we wanted to do, just make top four. And we brought these guys in, and they made us title contenders. Zinchenko tucking in from left back and kind of making that double pivot with Partey, allowing Granit Xhaka to kind of move forward and function as an 8 that played higher up the pitch. Really increased our technical level. And then Gabriel Jesus playing as that fluid, almost like a wing forward hybrid, right? Where he's drifting out wide and he was carrying in with the ball, and he was going on these mazy runs, and he was giving defenders things to think about. Both these guys were excellent, and it's just Zinchenko, we evolved past him. He also had some injury issues, but like I don't think like crazy bad.
Yeah.
But we evolved past Zinchenko, and I just think that kind of thing is very hard to foresee. And then with Gabriel Jesus, even harder to foresee is a player just having the injury luck that he's had, right? And we had the luck of having to contend with the first ever Winter World Cup in the middle of that season. Jesus went, had the knee injury, came back, wasn't really quite the same, and has just, it's snowballed from there. So, both those guys, I'm really grateful for what they've been able to do. But, for Zinchenko and maybe for Jesus, maybe it's time to move on. So where are you with Jesus in that regard?
Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat as you in terms of Sell when it's time for him to be fit and like he can get his legs going under him and stuff and going. I think this this if I had my way with the world, this probably would be his last season with the Arsenal, and then
Yeah.
once he's fit in this next summer window, he'll probably go. But yeah, it's literally that. Like just like you said, Zinchenko, we evolved past him. We kind of didn't again, he surplus the requirements at this point because we have the players that can do what he does, but have the physical aspects and the defensive aspects to kind of make up for his high level of supreme technical ability. We have better players to balance that out. For Jesus, he was the person that was literally unlocking everything for us. And I again, people like to call him BCM Punk and all stuff like that and do all the hee ha ha jokes how he can't, scoring goals or whatever. But if you look at him as a player, how much he did for us is insane. It's immense. The way he transformed this team from an attacking perspective, emboldened other players around him to be so clinical and so again just on it, and just the gravity that he generated as a player in and of himself brought the team around him better. He's somebody who made everybody around him better when he was again on his day doing what he needed to do. And as soon as he was injured, you saw how that absence affected this team. There's a certain level of control and chaos in a side that you need to be really effective. And I think you can always pinpoint that in the best sides in the world. You'll have people that can control the game, control the tempo, keep everything still. But when it's time to have chaos and just be an effective, just black hole of just attention, people need to go to you or else something bad will happen to them. Like the Salahs, the Salahs, all those peoples of the world, the Messis, they have to draw towards you or else something bad will happen to them. I think Jesus, in a way, was that in terms of whenever he got on the ball, whenever he created momentum, started to, again, go on a mazy run, dribble, do the things he needed to do, he would draw people around him. He was just that chaos bringer that it made it so easy for somebody like a Martinelli to jump in and contribute and get goals because there's 3 people on Jesus. He can just jump in and do what he does, 1v1 or whatever, or free on the left-hand side. Made it easier for folks like Saka, made it easier for folks like Odegaard in the ozone when so much space is over there. He was such a facilitator that people don't understand the impact that he had until he was gone. And he started to recapture that when he came back as well. And then he went down with the other ACL against Palace. And it's just what could have been, it turned into a what could have been situation. And I hate that I'm in this spot again where another star forward is just down on his laurels. Another star player, again, hit us with Eduardo. We hit this with this guy. We hit it with, there's so much pain. There's so much pain with forwards, bro. Why can't my pain end?
Why'd you have to bring up Eduardo?
I'm sorry, dog. But dog, and I feel like people don't understand the string of bad luck we've had with forwards over time. But like and forwards and star players who just get injured. They have so much momentum, and then the one injury just knocks them off their kilter. It's happened to us so much, and it's just it just breaks my heart because I know he really wanted to bring something back to this club. And I hope in this last season that's coming up, he can play a little part in us bringing something big home before he goes off and gets a send off. So I'd say sell, but yeah, let's hope he has a good last ride.
Yeah, no, I mean, I completely agree with all that. And Eduardo, man, what?
I'm sorry. That was core memory. That was the PTSD in the back. I know the Arsenal PTSD is strong. I know.
Could have been one of the best in the world, and then just got taken away from him. But
hurts every time.
I'm gonna try to shove that back down. And we'll move on to Martin Odegaard.
Odegaard, hey man, we making it real comfortable for him. I'll tell you this right now. We're making it real comfortable for this guy next season. I'll be real.
Yeah.
We got Zubamendi coming in to take responsibilities off of him in the build-up and everything like that. We brought in another guard. We brought in Norgaard. We brought another guy for you to get comfortable with. We're getting all the fixes ready for him. I'm saying keep, and I think this may be the return of high form Odegaard. This may be the return of a Scandinavian god, Thor, Odin's son in the building. It might be. And again, with the injuries, with the stuff that he was dealing with again over the last season, we did not see the best of him. We saw some of the worst of him. Obviously, I get it. It was not a good season. Fairs. But something that I was asking for a long time in terms of him as a focal point for the team in terms of he is involved in every phase, doing so much. Again, the build up, he's dropping deep to come receive the ball, open up new angles and pass and progresses forward. In the middle of the pitch, he's also, again, he's fighting for the ball in duels. He's also progressing the ball, running with it if he can, you know what I'm saying, trying to make things happen going forward. Up top, he's either, again, in the pockets trying to find a little pass and going out, and then from another defensive perspective, he's leading the press. And he's doing so many things that I think that at this point, with the physical levels and him running so much, it's ran him down, and it's kind of blunted his sharpness in terms of where we want to see him, in terms of the goals, in terms of the contribution in the final third, the depth passing that we know he can provide, little touches and dribbling that we know he has in his locker, but just hasn't shown last season. I think the fact that Zubamendi's coming in for one to relieve him of some of those build-up responsibilities and get him higher up the pitch where he can, again, just lead the press, focus on the attack. Don't worry too much about this back half. We got that covered. Give him more focus up there. And again, hopefully, fingers crossed. I'm not saying I'm looking at the transfer window, but fingers crossed we get more runners in the building just to get Odegaard, you know what I'm saying, some of those attacking signings that really will embolden him to just be brave with his passing range, be bold with his passing range. None of the flick little floaters when they're all in set positions in front of the opposition box. Again, swashbuckling through balls and all that stuff with the runners that he'll hopefully have around him. And I think we're going to see the best of Odegaard again. You know what I'm saying? I think for people that are slandering his name, sleeping on him, all the, you know what I'm saying, super crazy, like people going off the walls about the Odegaardism and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? People going off the cliff with all that other stuff. Yeah. I'm just saying, just watch the space, because if he's firing, a lot of people going to put soap in their mouth to clean out all the bad words they were saying about him. You know, I'm just going to be honest. I think he might be due for some, you know what I'm saying, a little remontada himself.
Yeah, no, I mean, with Odegaard, right? I completely agree with that point that you had about just like we gave him too much to do, right? And I think we overburdened him, and it started to show in his game, and we made him do all this stuff like on a high ankle sprain, basically.
Yeah.
And you know, it's just I'm looking forward to next season where, you know, like you said, like we're making the job easier for him. In addition to people behind him that we're bringing in, we're also going to bring in a couple forwards in front of him who are hopefully going to make those runs for him to, you know, try to create chances more with. So yeah, we'll see. But yeah, I think Odegaard has really become supremely underrated, and that is going to change next season. I think
up to him to prove it, man. He'll have the platform. It's up to him to make or break. That's all.
Absolutely. Next up is Mikel Merino.
Hey, man. Mikel Phenomenal. My guy. My number 9. Hey, ultra keep. Love this guy. And I love the fact that he proved so many people wrong and had to make them eat humble pie. Some in our own fan base. I just, this is an absolute case study in being patient with your words and not jumping the gun on players you're not sure of. This is a 100% case study, because again, when he came in, everybody's like, oh man, we're supposed to buy this crazy midfielder or something like that. Who is this guy? You know what I'm saying? I thought we were going to get XYZ, such and such a crazy, you know what I'm saying, midfielder who might have been mazy runs and blah, blah, blah. Yes, he came in, got his shoulder injured. You know what I'm saying? That's tough. That's just unlucky. But the job he's done to really bed himself and be a solid cog in the squad it's very, very good. It's so effective. And again, he's one of those people that epitomizes what Mikel wants in terms of the versatility of the squad, the grit, and being able to be adaptable in a lot of situations. The whole 9 situation, I can go into it. I could sing overtures for days about it, but you guys know the story. He does what he does, and his technical level, he's probably one of the best, like pure technical strikers of the ball, like at the club. I'll be real, because again, the first leg of the Champions League, that his goal, the third, I was like, now you had that in your locker room. I'm like, damn, okay. Pure. But throughout the season, in the midfield and stuff like that, in small spaces, again, very tidy of a player. He'll get stuck in. He'll do jobs that he needs to. Aerially, he's a threat. Absolutely. So I think with the injuries and stuff, and it was harder for him to adjust fully, but I think over time, he proved himself to be a very consistent piece of the squad that can contribute, that can step up. I think in a similar ilk to Kivior, that, again, when called upon, he can do his job. And we're going to need people that can do their jobs when we're in 4 competitions and we want to win something next season. So, you know, don't don't overwrite or don't write off, the contributions of players that may not be marquee superstar signings, because they may just save your ass in the end. And in a lot of instances, Mikel Merino was saving our ass game after game in a lot of different spots last season. Even though we didn't get what we wanted, he still showed up and proved. So I absolute keep.
100%. And speaking of players who have been written off to some extent, I think Kai Havertz also qualifies kind of for that description.
Ding. Yes, sir. Absolutely. Mega keep. Mega keep. And this is going to this will divide Arsenal fans to the end of time. I'll be real. At first, I was like, ugh, ow. I don't know. This is kind of weird. Ew. I didn't see it. But he's one of those players that showed up and proved game after game. Again, the whole first part of the season, he was like, oh, dang, confidence, trying to figure it out. After that, a penalty at Bournemouth that he got gifted and stuff like that, it started to click into place. I think he is so undervalued by so many people, and they don't see what he brings like fully. He's one of those people that is just so smart and insistent in so many different areas of the pitch. Again, I feel like it's been so long that I can't fully articulate it like that, but literally from an attacking sense, the spaces that he finds himself in and the things that he creates is very underrated. I think people don't understand fully how much he can influence play and be effective to create openings for people with his movement. I think he's very, very smart about how he approaches that as well. And people don't see the full depth of that and how it may play into us getting through, getting chances, getting goals and scoring in a lot of different positions. That's one thing. Two, the fact that he's become probably like an equivalent, if not sometimes a more, I guess, insistent pressing leader than Odegaard at times is very underrated. Odegaard run like mad. He run like crazy. He's Scandinavian. He's in, he gonna do it for just despite himself. Havertz is in there right with him. He's running until he's gone, until his hamstrings is string cheese. Havertz absolutely will put in the effort in. Again, he'll get stuck in. People was wondering, oh, he's frail. He's going to get in duels. He's bodying people left, right, and center. He's making things happen in terms of, again, the grit and the defensive side of the game and winning the balls high. He was a lot of that reason for it in terms of him being a consistent presence in our defensive structure and getting people off the kilter so we can win the ball back. It's so many little moments of quality. Obviously, he's not a clinical, consistent striker. I wish he was, because everybody would just shut up. And that would be a wonderful time. People would just shut up about him. But like you said, to your point, to what I said before as well, show up and prove. That whole back half of the season, when he was scoring in the run-in, like he was scoring bang, 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 back and forth last season. When he showed up and was a consistent piece of us getting close. People just wanted to avoid the conversation like nothing was happening. Like, oh man, we're scoring. Good job, everybody. Good job. But what about Havertz? I saw y'all was talking crap about Havertz, though. What about him? You don't want to, say something positive. People don't want to, and again, I think for a lot of people, it's about being right rather than being supportive of what is good for the team fully.
No, 100%. Yeah.
And it's like, bro, you got to give Havertz his just due when he's fit and when he's healthy, and watch Arsenal do something. But I'm going to say this presumptively. If we don't do this, I'm going to come back to haunt you. When we get a clinical striker, and he is that box crashing 8 or a shadow striker to come in and do what he does on cleanup and stuff, you're going to understand how crazy he actually can get. People still don't see it, and it's fine. It's for them to be proven wrong, and it's for other people to really see in value at the time. But you got to give credit to Havertz for stepping in and doing what he does, man.
I honestly, I'll go one step further. I think if you didn't see how much we missed Havertz the second half of the season, then I don't know what to say, because I saw today some this one guy on my timeline posted he went back and quote tweeted the announcement of Havertz's signing, and he was like, this is the day that the Arsenal project died, worst signing in Arsenal history. And it's like, dude, we couldn't stretch defenses at all
literally
for the last 3 seasons or the last 3 months. Havertz, I don't think people understand, and like we're hitting the 90-minute mark, so I'm
Mm.
not trying to like expand too much on like the rest of the players that we talk
Yeah.
about, but with Havertz, like I will die on this hill because the guy has 38 goals and assists in a season and a half, right? Which is really good output. And on top of that, the work that he does off the ball is insane. He's
So
running everywhere.
insane. He
That's
ran
why
himself
he
into the ground.
yeah, that's why he blew out his hamstring. Like the guy's playing center forward, but like he's covering so much turf like all the
It's
time. And in addition to
it's
that, like he's an aerial threat. He's the target man for when we're trying to go long. His hold up play is good. Like he's normally pretty secure on the ball. Yes, every once in a while, like he misses really clear cut chances. I haven't forgotten Newcastle. I haven't forgotten
yes.
United. Right. That is a wart that he has. And yes, he's not like how do I put this? I feel like he has a little bit of oozle about him sometimes, where just like people don't like his body language,
Yeah,
or like
yeah.
people.
Cause he lanky, he might look like he's sulking and stuff like that or whatever. They'll
Yeah,
they'll automatically attribute that to like something negative. And it's like, listen, bro might be tired because he just ran like 40 kilometers straight in like his 80 minutes, bro. That could also be a part of the equation.
it's just like I think he's so good, and yes, he's not like your traditional like 25 goal season 9, but like that's okay. I'm willing to tolerate that, especially if we do bring in someone who can do that.
Mhm.
And yeah, I just think he's an excellent player. He's been
I agree.
so like mistreated and undervalued because he came from Chelsea and we spent a little bit too much money on him.
Yeah.
But yeah, excellent player. I think he's a
Yeah.
credit to the club and
I
100%
I
keep.
agree, man. Havertz Hive, man, we move, bro. We gonna have our days in the sun. It's all right.
100%. Next guy up is Fabio Vieira, and I think this is an
Ah,
interesting one.
I got an agenda. I have an agenda for Fabio Vieira. I love this guy. Final third demon. He's so he can be so good. Again, ball striking, kick ball hard. He does that. And this is why I value him so much in the squad. I'm like, even as just a rotational option to come in, a closer, like in baseball, just hop in late innings, to start spamming things and seeing what happens. Love it. But physical levels, I don't think he can contend with the Prem at this point. He needs to go on some type of fitness plan to get ready for the Prem, or it's just kind of late. I'm saying, give me one more loan. Give me one loan, and we'll see what happens. I'm not mad if people say sell. I get it, but I have a narrative to run. So I'm going to say loan, and we'll see what happens if he picks it back up.
Yeah. I will say I'm not convinced by Vieira. I was watching Porto against El Ahly a couple days ago,
Yeah,
and he gave away the penalty. Was a little
yeah,
quiet against them,
a little
but
tough.
yeah, I think there's something there. It's looking increasingly likely that we're not going to see it at Arsenal. But
Mhm.
I think another loan makes sense. And hopefully this next loan like really would bring out something from him.
Mhm.
Um, we'll move on to Leandro Trossard.
Oh, okay. This the next two is where opinions will probably divide. This is where
Yeah.
opinions will probably divide. Oh my gosh. All right. People might be mad at me for this a little bit. I don't know. Anne Hathaway turn away. Anne Hathaway look away. I'm gonna say sell. I'm gonna say sell. And listen, this is my reasoning. I'm not mad if he stays. I'm not mad if he goes. This is a very fine tooth, fine edge decision.
Yeah.
Anything could happen with this where I'm like, hey, he's shown up for 27 million. He's shown up from Brighton. He's had moments where he's come in clutch. Technically, he's one of the best players in the club. Attacking wise, ball striking wise, he shows some of the most endeavor there. There are some moments where physically I don't think he can contend, and where we have a lot of people who are good in situations where it's kind of like, oh, settled play or whatever, and da da da. Like he can win his 1v1 sometimes. I just think the physical level for where the Prem is going, for where like top competition is, it's hard to see consistency out of him. You know, he's an impact player. He's a really, really good impact player. But when he has the reins to start and influence the ball, it's a lot less so in terms of his effectiveness. And I, on the money he might be looking to get, and on, you know what I'm saying, where he's at in his, career, what he might be looking for, if there's a chance to offload and look elsewhere for stuff, I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad. If in an ideal world, I keep everybody and add more depth to what we already have because I'm like, damn it, we might need some firepower. But I know in the situation, trying to be realistic, I'm like, listen, Leandro, you've done an absolute service for us, but it may be time to start to move elsewhere and integrate some more refreshed attacking options, and that may start with Trossard.
So the thing with Trossard for me is that his fate is very much tied to Martinelli's, right?
Absolutely.
And
Yes.
um, with Trossard, let's not pretend that he hasn't been great, right? Especially for the value. But
Yes.
like you said, he's in his 30s now. He hasn't ever really been a particularly athletic player to begin with. Physical, he's not like physically robust or anything.
Yeah.
And just it's one of those things where you want to be wary of it. And also, I think one of Arsenal's biggest issues has been they don't have enough dynamic attackers, right?
Yes.
And very clearly this summer we're looking at a choice if we're going to bring in a Rodrigo and we're going to bring in like another forward. I do think we want 3 forwards. If we're going to do that, someone has to go, and I would rather keep the more dynamic player, even if their game's stalled a little bit. And I'd rather try to extract value from Trossard, who has had a couple good seasons for us and looks like he still has a lot left in the tank. But that's not a guy who's going to break open defenses, and he's not going to be particularly great on the counter. Oops. So yeah, I'm also in the sell camp. But what about Martinelli then?
Yeah, and Martinelli's the other side of the coin where Trossard has all the technical prowess and the endeavor in the attacking third, the deftness to break players and find a way through. Martinelli has that grit and physical ability to just run down and be an Energizer bunny when he needs to. If you could literally do a fusion dance with these two players, life would be complete and we'd have no problems. We'd have no problems here. But unfortunately, life is not so. Dragon Ball is still an anime, is not real life, and we're stuck in this position. So I'm going to say keep. I'm saying keep. And this is the thing. I love Martinelli. I absolutely do. But you cannot deny there is no dynamic. There is no pairing him with the right fullback. There is none of that can excuse his lack of development as a player. I love this boy to bits. He broke in the same time as Saka, and we thought it was a similar trajectory where they were going to keep growing, keep learning, keep expanding their play to be dynamic players. Saka's done that. Saka's doing that, and he still continues to. Martinelli has stalled out. Like you said, he's stalled out. And there is something in my mind that has always drawn to the point or possibility of him playing again more in the central spaces. Again, I think we saw some of his best work in central spaces, albeit that was Gabriel Jesus kind of being that feeder and kind of giving him the license to run back and forth and rotate between those two and be kind of fluid and find himself in that fox in the box position. Ideal world, I see Gabriel Martinelli as somewhat of a Diogo Jota type with more physical ability, where he's able to be a fox in the box, pick his spots, and just be that effective cog that can find himself at the right place at the right time with the physical capability to run on the ball. Again, if there's a counterattack that springs, he has enough in his locker to run onto that, be a piece that helps finish the move off, and be there for those moments. Again, his work rate, undeniable. Works his socks off all the time. Again, the pace can absolutely can run with a lot of people. It has a lot of legs to go in terms of that. It's the decision making, it's the technical ability, it's the dynamism that has just stalled and disappointed me so much. And I know he can find a level there, but I think him being depth from a center forward perspective and giving more room to maybe wingers. Again, he can be a winger as a backup, but I don't think that's a starting position. I think giving him some license to run as a center forward in some regard or respect, I think that might be beneficial for him long term. But if not, we still hold value to potentially sell him down the line if that's it. But I want to give it one more shot. I still have belief he can provide something good with this team.
Yeah, and especially as a rotation piece, for an elite talent like maybe a Rodrigo, maybe a Nico Williams, maybe a Rafael Leao, right?
Mhm.
Like I think Martinelli is a guy who can definitely come on later in games and still affect really positive change.
Yes.
But yeah, I think he stalled a little bit, and maybe that's something that we can fix. Maybe it's not, and we'll have to have a different conversation next season.
I'm hoping we can fix, man. Listen, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be New Jack City, man. Wesley Snipes crying and stuff like that. I don't want to do it to my dog, but let's not even have the conversation.
No. That we can address that another time.
Yeah.
So next up we got Ethan Winery, and I think these last three are going to be pretty straightforward. But
Yeah.
where you got Winery?
Ultra key. This guy is going to be an absolute monster. He was already showing up improving. He already had 9 goals in his debut season just off the rip, which was like, hey, I'm coming in. I'm making it happen. Again, him and MLS are kind of the twins of destruction, walking in and doing a damn thing. The only thing is just now building the stamina and building the strength from midfield to contend at that level and to have the engine to keep going. Again, people were so mad. Why didn't we see Ethan Winery at the end of the season? Why didn't we see him at the second half of the season? Blah, blah, blah. This man had a whole hamstring injury, at one point and some strain or something like that. And Arteta was like, yo, we're not risking you, which was the correct call in my opinion. A talent of this level, a talent of this nature, you have to nurture that. And if you're going to keep throwing him into the fire, throwing him to the wild, he's going to end up getting hurt. And that's something that you'll get blamed for. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. So for him, Ethan's challenge is to physically match the needs of the Premier League, to physically match the stamina. Can he contend? Can he get in the ballpark of Odegaard running all these steps from the midfield? Can he keep that dynamism up while still tracking down, being a very effective player in the buildup, in the press, being a defensive piece that's stout and can win duels? That's his next challenge, because the attacking piece, he got that in spades, man. That's just that's reps. You know what I'm saying? His test is physical, and once that's there, he's gonna find himself in the team next season. He's gonna have a lot of stints to show up and prove some more. So he's that talent, man. He's got it.
Yeah, and I think people need to remember with Winery, kind of in comparison to Lewis Skelly's, players grow differently. Different bodies mature at different rates. So I think he had a great season, Winery. Obviously, it wasn't the kind of the breakout season that Lewis Skelly had, but only Michael Owen and Wayne Rooney have done better in terms of end product at that age than Winery has. So yeah, I think the future is so bright for him, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do. Future might not be as bright for these last two guys.
Yeah.
So yeah,
my dog.
First we got Reece Nelson.
Reece, man, the OG star boy, man. It's sell, but it's gonna hurt a little bit to see him go again. Produced one of my favorite moments of the past 5 years. Again, the winner against Bournemouth. That was when Hope was super inspired and stuff. And again, he's always had the technical ability. It was just the physical side of things to contend with injuries and to keep up with that stuff. Probably not room for it here, but hopefully he can find it elsewhere. He might go back to Fulham full time. He might just go get signed to Fulham and stuff like that and ball out, which he was until he got injured again. But I think hopefully he'll recover and find better playing time elsewhere. But I love that guy, man. Love Reece Nelson. I just hope he gets full playing time and enjoys wherever he goes next and enjoys his football.
Yeah, I think with Nelson, the reports are indicating that Marco Silva actually was a big fan of him.
Mm-hmm.
So, I know he also had a hamstring injury that basically ended his season, but he seems to have made a good impression of Fulham. Obviously, there's a number of ex-Arsenal players there who would probably lobby for him. So I think Nelson's
we'll be
one of
making
those guys.
calls right now. We'll be making calls.
Oh man, Iwobi definitely called it. He's could between Zinchenko and Nelson, he's definitely going to be right on one of them. But like Nelson's one of those guys who I just think we let him go for like $5 million or something, and just let him move on with the next part of his career. Unfortunately,
Agree.
Last guy we have here, Albert Sambi Lakanga.
Mr. Sambi, man, put him in that sell pile, man. And I was hopeful for him too, as well. Again, somebody who I think had a lot of promise, but with injuries for one and two, just understanding the I feel like, again, it's a physical side of being that sixth position. It was kind of 6'8", but I feel like he was leaning towards being an understudy for that sixth position in his time here. I think the Luton loan spell kind of did him well to show like more like the grit. I thought he showed up very well in a lot of those points in that Luton loan spell as well until like the injuries hit again. But you know, Vinny K sold us some dreams. Damn it, he sold us some dreams. You know what I'm saying? But the injuries caught up with him. I still think he's a good player. He can find some time, but it's just not at the level of consistency that we need at this point. You know, we gotta shoot for higher. So it's just that point to let him go.
Yeah. And, again, Sambi is probably the case study for kind of what happens if you bring in young players to be that backup for you, where you just don't know if they're going to be able to do it. Right.
Yep.
And so I still like taking punts like we did on Sambi.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the fact of the matter is like he never got accustomed to Premier League football. He didn't hit his ceiling the way people expected him to. And yeah, I think the fact that he has a completely different shirt on and background behind him than everyone else here.
That's the old times, man. It's like, where do you get this at? This is the old days, man.
Didn't even bother to include him as part of the photo shoot for this past season. I think that says everything. So there you have it. That's the final list for Keep Loan Sell. And yeah, man, that was a lot of fun.
100%.
Yeah. So we'll call it there because we're closing in on 2 hours now. Yeah. But Trip, honestly, thank you so much for coming on, man. This was such a fun chat. Hopefully we can have you on again soon.
100%,
and
100%.
Yeah, great time.
Nah, I enjoyed it. You know what I'm saying? I'm happy that, you know what I'm saying, I took some time out of vacation. You took some time out of vacation and stuff like that. We just chopped it up and talked ball. Again, it was a pleasure to jump in. It was super, super fun. Definitely going to try and come back again. When the season is up, you know what I'm saying, where the energy will be up as well. We'll find out whether Arsenal did what they were supposed to do or they didn't. So the next time you may see me, I don't know if I'll be angry, elated, ready to just like send shots to all the opposition fans out there. I don't know, but at least I know that this session was super fun. I can't wait to come back, man.
Yeah, awesome. Glad to hear it. And you guys can follow Trip at Fulltime Trip on Twitter. And you have a YouTube channel too, right?
Yes, I do. Fulltime Trip, same name everywhere. Twitters, TikToks. I'm actually gonna make an Instagram at some point. I realize I'm like I should probably make an Instagram, just throw that stuff on there as well. So it will be Fulltime Trip everywhere, just all one word, Fulltime Trip, like you see it somewhere in the bottom left if you're watching video, but Fulltime Trip all one word if you're on audio as well. And yeah, you can find me there, just making jokes, just trying to make some light of, you know what I'm saying, all this Arsenal madness that we live in, you know what I'm saying, trying to get to a better day. That's all.
Yeah. Well, you guys should definitely go check them out. And I'm looking forward to the next funny video that you put up. The last couple really cracked me up. So
we're cooking up soon, man. There's enough ammo from this week. We got a good little bit to go off of.
Well, I'll stay tuned then. And in addition to that, you can follow me on Twitter at Shamsdale. You can follow the pod at this week. Sorry. Old pod. Still like it's just
still
like
new, still fresh. The muscle memory.
Yeah. You can follow this pod at Not That Gooner on Twitter, notthatgooner.bsky.social on Bluesky. You can subscribe at Not That Kind of Gooner. Follow us on Instagram at Not That Kind of Gooner. If you are listening on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts, in which case Apple Podcasts, it's audio only. I really do recommend you go to YouTube or Spotify and watch the video version of this. But if you're on either one of those, please do give us a 5-star review. It really does help out and get the pod out there in front of more people. But we will be back next week. I know we promised like 2 episodes a week. Things are just really busy right now. So luckily, you just cut this up into 2 pods. Treat this like 2 pods. Listen to it like, tomorrow and then the day after, and you should be set. We'll be back probably Monday night, and hopefully more things have happened at that point. Hopefully, Drew and John will be available to come back on. We'll do all that. So, keep your minds out of the gunner. Or actually, no, that was a good pun. We might keep that. Keep your minds out of the gunner.
Hey, wait a minute. Hold on, you on the bars? Wait a minute. He's on something.
I'm gonna remember that.
Hold that.
Okay, so keep your minds out of the gunner. And we'll be back next week to talk to you. But until then, take care and bye. Bye.